places right now. And so let me just make sure that I'm in all the places that I want to be live. I'm going to be on YouTube. There we are. So we're streaming into YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. What's up, everyone? Okay. So we're live in a few places. Very excited. If you're tuning in for the first time, I am Kendra Perry. I am an online business mentor for health and wellness coaches. And my goal is to help you build a six-figure business that you love, that does not burn you out. And today I want to talk about something that came up for one of my Health Coach Accelerator students. And Health Coach Accelerator is my course and group mentorship program where I teach new health coaches how to start and grow their business to 10K per month. Okay. So when it comes to posting content, right, there's a big difference. I want to differentiate between two different types of content. Okay. So there is content that is very engaging and that is going to get you a lot of likes, shares, views, that sort of thing, versus content that actually builds your brand and gets you clients. Now, there can definitely be overlap with this. 100%, there can definitely be overlap. You can have engaging content that also helps you get clients, but oftentimes there's a bit of a distinction between the two. And that is what I want to talk about today. Let me just do one thing here before we get into that. I just want to make sure my tech's set up. Okay, cool. So I had a Health Coach Accelerator student, and she actually has a fairly big following on, I believe, Instagram. She has maybe 20,000 plus followers, but she's having a really hard time actually getting clients. Okay. And we did an audit for her content the other day. And what I noticed is that her content was very engaging, meaning that people were really she was getting a lot of likes, views, shares, that sort of thing. But that wasn't translating into actual clients. Okay. So what's the differentiation here? Okay. So people often get really, really, really hung up on engagement. Okay. They get really hung up on engagement. And part of that is the dopamine hit, right? We want to feel like, oh, I'm getting lots of likes and people like my content, right? We feel good when people like our shit. We just do. But that is not what it's all about. So this one student of mine, what she was posting was a lot of Instagram Reels. Okay. Instagram Reels are hot right now. And if you don't know what Instagram Reels are, they are TikTok's version of, or Instagram's version of TikTok, essentially. Okay. And they're just short clips, short videos, short clips, that sort of thing. Okay. So they are probably currently the most engaged type of content on Instagram. Okay. And what tends to get a lot of traction are something called trends. Now, you've probably, again, seen these before, because typically a trend is something that kind of everybody does. It's one person does it and then everyone else does it, and people just repeat it. And it's actually a really, really good way to, audio should be off. Let's get there. Okay. So it's a really good way to get a lot of views, right? It's a really good way to get in front of a lot of people. But the problem with doing trends on Reels, for example, is you will get a lot of views and you will get a lot of engagement. But what does it actually do to build your brand, to position yourself as an expert and actually get you clients? Okay. That is the question that we need to ask ourselves. Okay. This is super, super important, because just because you're getting views and likes and that sort of thing doesn't actually mean you're doing anything to actually build your brand. Okay. So if you're only doing these trends on TikTok or Instagram, for example, or you're only posting stuff that you know is going to get a lot of engagement, it may or may not actually be helping your audience get to know you. Okay. Something that's really important to understand when it comes to making sales online is the trust factor. The trust factor is incredibly important. If people don't feel like they know you and they trust you, it doesn't matter if you have the most amazing program on the entire planet. It doesn't matter if it's literally the best. If people don't feel like they know and trust you, then they're not going to be interested in buying it from you. Okay. And while things like Reels and TikToks, the trend stuff, like, yeah, it can get you a ton of traction. It can get you in front of a lot of people, but it's not really doing much to establish your credibility as a coach or to establish your authority. Okay. And so when I said this to the student, she was like, well, when I just teach in the trend or in the reel or whatever, when I'm just teaching in the trend, like I don't get as much engagement. So I don't think I should be doing that. And the truth is, like, when you do use your own original audio, when you do more of like a teaching style video in something like, and I'm just using reels as an example, but yeah, you are probably going to get a little bit less engagement, but it's going to help build your credibility and establish yourself as an authority, as an expert in your space. And it's not all about getting likes and views, right? Because I say this all the time, like, you don't need more engagement. You need clients, right? You need content that's actually going to show that you know what you're talking about, that's going to be incredibly valuable for the person who's listening, something where they can get something from it and they get a quick win. They're like, oh, I heard this the other day. She said to do this. I tried it and it worked, right? Versus just being entertained, right? And so, yes, Reels, TikToks, there's a lot of entertainment in that. And I mean, that's why people are consuming these things, but we have to look beyond just the likes and the views and the engagement, right? We want to be very strategic with our content because, for example, you could post a trendy reel, like a trend, do a trend on a reel, and you could get like 10,000 views, which is great, but none of those people are really interested in what you actually offer as a coach. They just think you're entertaining. They just thought it was funny, right? Like, you could do that, or you could get maybe like 1,000 views, but a bunch of those people are actually really interested in what you do and they end up signing up for sales calls, right? So I would much rather you have like 1,000 views on a video of something that is really valuable and really showcases your expertise, your personality, and your brand versus just going viral with some sort of trend video. So I hope this is landing. I hope this is making sense. Okay. Because yes, it's fine to do that, like, especially if that is on brand, right? Like, if there's certain trends that are really funny and maybe you bring a lot of humor into your brand, or, maybe it kind of does a good job of like showcasing your personality, great. You can definitely pepper those in. Those are helpful. But you want to make sure that's not all you're doing. Right? Because if I come to your account and you're a health coach and all I see are these trends, right? I'm going to be maybe really entertained and maybe I'm still going to follow you and stick around, but there's a good chance that I'm going to have like no idea who you are and what you actually offer and what you teach. So we really want to find a balance in our content. And that's why it's really important to not get caught up in what I call the engagement trap, just like looking for the views, looking for the dopamine hits, looking for the engagement, wanting those likes, wanting those views, and like, great, that's awesome. And sometimes those do bring the right people to our account, which is great. But we want to make sure that we are showing people who we are and what we actually do. So just an example of other types of content that would be really good for you to offer your audience. So there are, I think I have 4. But there's like 4 different types of content that I think are really important to post online. The first is educational how-to. This is like your authority establishing content. This is where you show people like how to do something, right? You're teaching them something. You're showing them how to do something. And that is a very important type of content. I think that should probably make up about 40% of your content, but not all of your content. A lot of coaches only do that type of content. And that makes it really hard to stand out because that's kind of what everyone's doing, right? It's like how to do this, how to do that, how to stay hydrated, how to eat paleo, how to reduce your stress, like how to do this, how to do that, right? Like that's great, but it's not actually the type of content that really makes you stand out. That being said, you still do want to post it. Okay. But we want to think about other types of content. The other one I like to post is called belief disrupting content. Now I took this from Brandon Lucero, so I have to give him credit. He calls it a thought reversal. I call it belief disrupting. It's essentially kind of a similar thing, but this is where we shift limiting beliefs. Okay. Because with health and with anything, with the improvement in anything, like me wanting to build my business, your clients wanting to improve their health, there's always going to be limiting beliefs that are keeping them stuck. And these limiting beliefs can oftentimes be a reason why people don't want to work with you, right? They can be a reason why people just don't sign up, right? Because they believe something to be true that makes them feel like it's impossible to actually get the result that they're looking for. So a good example is if you're a weight loss coach, people probably believe that in order to lose weight, they need to starve themselves and exercise more. But maybe that's not your philosophy. You're like, no, like that actually doesn't work. Like it's about more than that, right? So, but that's going to be a limiting belief that you are going to need to shift, right? You're going to need to shift that, because if they believe that the only way is to lose weight is to starve themselves and exercise more, and they don't want to do that, then they're not going to pursue your weight loss coaching program, because they're just like, well, it's not even possible, right? So this is where the belief disrupting content comes into play. So what you can do is sit down and, with a journal or a notebook or a little app on your phone, whatever, notes app like Google Docs or Evernote or something like that, and Google all the limiting beliefs that your ideal client has, or that they believe to be true that aren't true. Okay. A good example, I'm trying to think of other examples, but maybe if we're using the weight loss example, maybe they believe that carbs are bad, right? Carbs are bad. And that's one of the beliefs that they have, but maybe you don't believe in that. You believe more in like a balanced approach to macros or something like that. So you need to show them that, hey, you can still eat carbs and lose weight, right? That's going to shift their belief. But this is where your content gets really memorable, right? Because if you shift people's beliefs and their thoughts, this is where you step into the realm of thought leader, right? This is like the thought leader stuff. And this is where people like really get impacted by your content, right? It's more just about like you being ridiculous on a reel and like dancing around or shaking your ass or whatever, which is fine. You can totally do that. It's entertaining. But again, we're trying to build credibility. We're trying to build a brand, right? We're trying to build expertise. We're trying to build relationships, and a really short form video doesn't always do that when we're just talking about trends. Okay. So that is one type of content that's really important. The other type of content is called connection content. Connection content is content with the primary intention of helping people connect with you, right? Seeing your humanity. And so it doesn't necessarily need to be like completely on niche, okay? But it does need to be relevant to your audience. Okay. I'm going to use an example. Back in December, I posted about my experience doing Kambo, which is a frog medicine. It's a spiritual shamanic frog medicine that is delivered through the skin, and it ends up with you purging, and it's a really crazy experience. Okay. Now I'm a business coach. So what does me doing frog medicine have to do with your business? Well, not much, right? But is it relevant to you? Yes. What's the relevancy? Well, the common value is personal inner work, because I support health coaches. I support health and wellness coaches. And I know that you are committed to evolution, personal evolution, being a better person, all of that, right? I know you're committed to this inner work. So that was the common value. So it was relevant to my audience. I knew there was something in common. That post actually did really well. People loved it. People were super interested, and I got tons of comments, that sort of thing. But the relevancy was there, right? So you want to, when we're thinking about connection content, again, connection content being the only intention is to create connection with your audience, to build relationships and to kind of showcase yourself as a human, as a person. But you do want to make sure there's a common value. So for example, I'm probably not going to get on here and talk about like abortion, right? I do have my own opinions on that, but me as the brand, it's not really relevant. There's not really like a relevancy here, right? But with something like inner work, the relevancy is there. So, an example, like let's say, and I've never been to Burning Man. I'm just using this as an example. Let's say I went to Burning Man and did a bunch of acid, and then I posted about it. Well, that is not really relevant. Like it's me telling you a story, but how is that relevant? Like there always has to be something in it for the person of whom you serve. Okay. But maybe in that acid trip, I had a realization that actually was a really great lesson that I want to share with you. So there's the relevancy. So we're looking for relevancy, and we're looking for common values. Okay. And the whole purpose of connection is so that people get to know you and get to trust you, because like I said, at the beginning of this live, people will never buy from you if they don't trust you and they don't feel like you know you, or they know you. And so I had a client, and this was a client who had actually worked with in my mastermind. Okay. And she was really just like, she was being really consistent with her content. She was, working really hard and she just wasn't getting the clients. And she wanted me to audit her social media and just give her an idea of like where she was going wrong. And what I saw when I went to her account was all business. So it was all, she's a thyroid coach. So it was all thyroid, which is great. Like it's really relevant, but there was nothing about her. There was like no humanity in it. It was all business, And I was like, I think what's happening with your audience is that like you're giving a lot of valuable content, but like they probably don't feel like they know you, right? Like there's no sense of like your personality and who you are. And like I'd met this person in person. I'd met her at a conference, and at the conference, she was just like fun and jokey, and she was like dancing, and like it was just like so much fun to be around her. But then like on the social media, like it was all very like serious, right? And so I was like, I think what your people need from you is just to understand a little bit more of who you are. So that's where this connection content is really key. Does this make sense? Let me know in the comments. I'm just going to double check my text situation here with the other platforms that I'm streaming into. But let me know if this makes sense to you. Okay. Let me know. That would, okay, cool. Yes. Okay. Yes, it's landing. Okay, cool. So that's kind of that type of content. And then the other content that I want to talk about is behind the scenes. Okay. And this stuff is this is best shared on stories. And the truth is like every platform has stories these days. I think even LinkedIn, I'm not sure, but, this is like the behind the scene, right? Yeah. Curve thinking says makes total sense. Yes, exactly. And so the behind the scenes stuff is where you kind of give people just like literally what it sounds like behind the scenes look, of what is actually like going on, in your life, right? So this is you working on your business. This is you like the little things that are going on behind your life, like in your lifestyle. Okay. And the purpose of this is to do something. This is really juicy, by the way. I don't really talk about this very much. Oh, hold on, audio. Okay. Lifestyle anchors. Okay. So for those of you who follow me, when you think of me, like what are some things that you might see in your life that would remind you of me? Okay. Think about it. I know we probably have some new people here, but I see some familiar faces. So if you were walking around in your regular life, what are some things that you might see that might make you think of me? Okay. So I see mountains. Yes. Mountains. Definitely. Calico cat. Yes. Because I have a calico cat and she's sleeping right over there. Look at her. She's so cute. Look how cute she is. Okay. Okay. Mountains. Biking. Yes, exactly. Okay. So this is what I've done is I've created what's called lifestyle anchors. Okay. And so what I've done, it's strategic, is I've chosen 4 to 5 things that represent me, represent like my lifestyle and my personality, that I always share on stories. Okay. So what do I share on stories? I share mountains, right? I share a lot of photos of mountains because I do a lot of trips. I spend a lot of time in the mountains. I share photos of my super cute cat, right? I share photos of the things I feed myself and the supplements I take because I'm really into health. I share funny things because I like to bring a lot of humor into my brand. So I share that thing too, but it's intentional. And this is how you anchor, these like lifestyle factors into your brand so that you become something called omnipresence. Okay. That just means being everywhere, right? So that people literally think of you when they're not consuming your content. Very magical. Okay. And that's what we're trying to create. So we want it to be consistent. Now, I remember I had a Health Coach Accelerator student say, she was like, but I'm not interesting. I'm not interesting. Like I lead a really boring life and you do all these cool things, but it's not about being cool. It's not about, having a really interesting life. It's about relatability. And I guarantee like your boring life is very relatable to a lot of other people who are just leading a boring old life. Okay. So it doesn't need to be super interesting. Like the reason I share like my adventures and the action sports that I do and like the mountains and that sort of thing is not because I'm trying to be interesting. Okay. It's because it represents me as a person, because it's me. So even if your life is boring, like what are things that like your hobbies or things you get excited about that you could share with your audience? Because it's really just about relatability. And so it could be as simple as your dog, right? It could be you sharing like the funny things that your dog does. It could be you sharing like the meals that you eat, right? It could be you sharing your love for Game of Thrones or something like that. I don't watch that show, but just throwing something out there, right? Again, it could be anything. It could be pictures of your kids. It could be your walks, like you going on walks, right? And so again, the whole purpose is lifestyle anchor. So you just want to be consistent. And so this is how you can also maintain being a private person and still show the behind the scenes of your life, because you're not showing everything, right? There is so much about me that you don't know, and all these things that are really important to me that I just don't share online. That's not what it's about. It's about anchoring your lifestyle to your brand so that people start thinking about you when you're not around. Okay. Omnipresence. Keep that word in mind. Omnipresence. Okay. So I've gone off on a little bit of a tangent today. This is kind of actually not what I was fully wanting to speak about today, but the whole thing I really want to kind of hammer into your brain is just because a piece of content is getting a lot of likes, views, and engagement, it doesn't mean that it's serving you as a business owner. Okay. Because we are not here to be influencers. We don't just want engagement. We're just not trying to get brand deals. Like we're trying to get clients. And so sometimes the post that actually helps you get clients is not the engaging one. Okay. And so I just don't want you to get into the trap of just posting like Instagram reel trends and TikTok trends. Yes, trends are great. They can help you get reach. You should definitely pepper them in if that's your thing and that's the kind of content that you want to post. But if it's all that you're doing, it's actually not building your brand. It's not building your credibility. It's not building your authority. And it's not really giving your audience anything of value beyond entertainment. We're not just here to entertain. We're here to teach. We're here to transform. We're here to change lives. Okay. So instead of doing a trendy reel, use a reel, but teach them something. Teach them in the reel. You have, I think, up to 90 seconds. Try to keep it below 60 seconds, right? Teach them something in 60 seconds, like quick tips. Think quick tips. Just talk direct to camera. You will get less likes. You will get less engagement for the most part, but it's going to have more impact. Okay. And it's going to serve you better as a brand. So just don't get caught up in the engagement trap. Okay. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. If you guys want more from me, I just launched or just released my brand new free masterclass. It's on demand. You can get it in my link bio on my Instagram. It's in my bio for Facebook and YouTube. And it's called the step-by-step framework to enrolling 1 to 3 new clients every week into your health coaching business. So make sure to check that out. Again, if you're on Instagram, it's in my bio. If you're on YouTube and Facebook, it's in the description. All right, my friends, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next week for our next live video. Bye, everyone.